Okay, so let's begin part 3. So let me start with, let's not do Cerberus right away. Let's do the early game boss fight. So in the early game there are slime rats, and the monarch of the slime rats is the Ratslime Empress. So don't know exactly what that would look like, but I'm sure it's disgusting. So let's build up a party here. So this particular boss fight is not too hard, but there's a certain kind of party composition that tends to work a little bit better. The deal with this one is that having a strong front line, just kind of, and being able to do enough damage, those are the two things, and healing is kind of nice, but there are some other gimmicks in the fight that kind of help you out with the healing. I'll get to that when we get there, but it's very important to have a front line, somebody who can block the main attacks, because all of the attacks in this fight are blockable, which is pretty convenient. So I'd like to maybe showcase some units we haven't seen yet. So who am I gonna get? I don't know. On the back line, I think I'd like to put this character, Lynneth Javelle. It's just it's a bad pun based on the word javelin. It's I don't know. Most of the characters in this game are bad puns. It's just something you have to deal with. And I don't know. I've already shown off a lot of good frontliners, so I don't even know who to put in the. Maybe I have to go back on my word and pick someone a little bit redundant. I'll just do zombie Mozart. He's a great decomposer, as the old joke goes. Lynneth Javelle is a little bit unique. She's not really a frontliner or a backliner. Actually, one of her strongest attacks requires that you alternate rows to use it properly. So I think I'm going to add one more backline, maybe get a little bit of healing here. So Brother Cantrip, so I said there are various reasons why these people why they did not receive the Obol to pay the ferryman. This person was probably not a believer in Greek mythology, so I guess he must have been pretty surprised to end up at the river Styx. So I don't know, what can you do? Sometimes life doesn't go the way you expect it to. So he's kind of magically oriented. I don't know how much healing I'm going to need to do right away, but maybe I'll give him some damage. Animus is kind of good. He's like ranged and magic, good at single target. Damage, manually selecting your target. I think Penelope the Pantsorcer, though, so the entire her story is that women aren't supposed to wear pants and do sorcery, but she wears pants, and everything is about her pants, even though she's really just a sorcerer. So alright, and similar to Gerald, that character gains mana points as you gain health, and wow, I spent too many spirit points all at once. I might have messed this up a little bit. That's okay. I think it's okay. Well, whatever. The worst that can happen is I can lose, but oh man, now I just sort of have to think here. Don't want to spend too many points. I want to get some more damage. That's going to be important. There's a lot of things I want to do. I'm just going to equip this powerful item that gives +4 base melee and base range, but that adds up to +5 in practice, because Lynneth gets a cross-multiplying bonus between melee and range. I think they both add like 15% of their base values to the other one. No, 40%, that's right, I buffed it a lot. So that she has a small penalty to melee and ranged individually, but then a large bonus to them adding to each other. So I'll do that. I won't get another chance to buy items again. It's just kind of, that was my last shot, and let's I could just hold on to those spirit points for later. I have a couple options for healing. Right now, at the start of the fight, Brother Cantrip has this heal spell, and that will be my only option, but as you'll see, more options will open up as the fight progresses. So Zombie Mozart is super duper unique. He has a passive ability that's very, very unique. Any damage dealt or received is converted to poison, which is a gradual health loss over time. That's a certain percentage of the total poison amount per turn is gradually just dealt out. And if you use it's a little bit subdivided by whether you use minor or major actions or both, so that it sort of adds up more or less proportionally to the same amount no matter what you do. So anyway, yeah, so what do I want to do here? So Ratslime Empress, she's kind of very, very unique. She's a boss character, and these abilities, they have special conditions. If somehow she were in the front row, she would move to the back row. There's an ability for that, but that ends up never happening because right at the moment there's no way for it to end up in the front row, but other stuff could be added later that does that. This one, well, she gains 1 mana, recovers 1 mana point every turn, and if she has 5, she might spawn a rat slime. And this other ability is called Fester. She she heals for 35, but she applies 25 poison to herself and increases her poison by 25%. So overall, it's almost a net neutral, but the reason why building up poison is kind of a big deal is this Blight Missile. So you read that description. However much poison is on the Ratslime Empress. When this ability once she has 100 or more, she can use Blight Missile, which does 35% of her poison total to a unit. And so you'll want to watch the poison meter. It's a ranged attack, so the front row unit can block it. Otherwise, she could randomly hit your back row unit instead, which could be devastating if you can't take the hit. The other thing is the Slime Rats and the Ratslime Empress both have this other passive, which is, it's like Zombie Mozart, except only 50% as much. So half of all damage dealt or received by either the Slime Rats or the Ratslime Empress is converted to poison. The interaction with Zombie Mozart is kind of goofy because it does 100% conversion and 50% conversion, and what it does is just mathematically it actually ends up healing them because it does the damage and then it adds the health back because of the full conversion, and then adds 50% because of the 50% conversion. So the net result is a little bit goofy, and you end up being healed, but then the poison stacks up to obscene amounts, and it kind of balances out. It's a little bit goofy, but it's satisfactory enough that I'm keeping it the way that it is for now. But if you see something weird, that's why. So what I would like to do is I'd like for Zombie Mozart to be able to block the Blight Missiles, but if these Slime Rats are running around doing melee attacks, they can that'll remove the guard, and then they won't be blocking, and then the Empress could end up potentially hitting the backliner, which could be a problem. So let's so that's one reason. The other reason is you gain spirit points by killing enemies, and you can spend those points immediately in this stats panel. That would be really convenient. So so the sooner we clear these out, more will spawn very, very slowly. It takes 5 turns, so let's do it. So Lynneth's special ability is Lunge. This is one reason why it's very convenient to raise the melee and ranged stats somewhat evenly, because it takes the smaller of those two and deals twice that much damage. But you have to be in the back row to use it. It's a melee attack, so she'll end up in the front row. Which means if I want to do that again, the next turn I have to move to the back row, and then only the turn after will I be able to lunge again. So there's a little bit of micromanagement with row position. If you're familiar with Darkest Dungeon, that game has some row swapping. That game even has perhaps even more sophisticated mini games that you play with that. But if you've seen that there, if you play that game, you're already sort of familiar with it. So I'm gonna have. It's gonna take a while for the poison to stack up. If you're not, it stacks very slowly unless you're actively dealing damage to her. So that's fine. Right now I'm just trying to clear out these front row units. Now this is a tough choice. What do I want to do? Maybe I'll just do the homing bolt. So last video I mentioned that this is it averages your magic and your range. It does that much damage. It doesn't cost any mana is the big thing. So the other thing I could do is I could use Flaming Fist. It does melee plus magic, but I haven't invested into melee, so that would be kind of a waste. Arcing Bolt, I don't want to hit the back row just yet, so that's my reasoning. I just want to attack this one. So if we check the log, so what happened after I used Homing Bolt, there was only one unit left to act, so that rat used a melee attack, so it's no longer guarding. Once you perform an attack or receive damage, either one of those will remove your guard status. So nobody's guarding right now. I can if I want to, I can just do a dump punch damage to this one on the left. So as I said before, they convert 50% of incoming damage to poison. So this attack, it does 23, but there's 3 damage reduction, so it's a total of 20, but it's half that's converted to poison, so it should be 10 and 10. And there you go. So she's taking some damage, and she wants to be in the back row, so she can use lunge next turn, so let's do that right now. Alright, so nothing too urgent. This fight is, it's kind of a boss fight, but the threat is takes a very long time for it to build up. You can sort of, this is why having a frontliner in this fight in particular is extremely effective, because everything is blockable. You eventually need to do enough damage to finish the fight, but it's not super duper fast paced. Alright, so Zombie Mozart is just gonna. He has this other option, this one called Contagion. It takes half his poison and transfers it to an enemy, and then also does whatever his melee stat is as damage on top of that. Right now, that would only be 5 bonus damage, so it's not nothing, but I think I'm just going to block. I think that's more important at the moment. Over here, so magic is 34. I don't quite have that much damage to heal at the moment, so maybe I'll just hold on to it. It's not super urgent, and this rat's getting kind of low. It might take a couple turns. I don't know whether I should speed it up or just let it sort of die on its own. I think I'm going to speed it up just a little bit and hit it one more time. And you saw the health go up. That's because of the weird interaction between multiple copies of poison damage to poison conversion between the 2 units. It's kind of unique for zombie Mozart, but that's what happened. So it got poisoned by a lot more, and then got healed by a little bit. But now, let's just do this contagion thing. I'm gonna start hitting the other one. 10% is now 10, so it's gonna. Some of the poison is gonna be reduced. Yeah, so we're making a little bit of progress there. Oh man. Alright, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use lunge. Damage reflection is, unfortunately, I think it's going to be 2x damage reflection because it's 2x scaling on the attack itself. So the default behavior is 2x damage reflection. So, yes. So, taking some damage there. So now I think I'm finally going to use heal, and there you go. Yeah, not bad. See. Ratslime Empress was just using Fester over and over again. That turn she actually spawned another one, so the mana is down to 5, or down to 2 out of 7. So, oh well. The good thing about this is that you get experience points mid-battle, or in this case, well, in this game they're called Spirit, not Experience. So it'll be fine. Let's just work on this second one here and drop. She does have a front row. This is unique. It's called Harry, but it's less efficient overall than just lunging every other turn. You could do this every turn. If you're in the front row, you can do one that does 1/4. I might buff this number a little bit to like 1/3 or 1/2 or something, but even then, you really just want, the lunges are more powerful. It's nice if you need to remove block over and over again if you have like a lot of frontline enemies, for example, but or if it's just enough damage to finish somebody off, it's also good. But most of the time, just for raw numbers, you just want to alternate. You just want to be in the back row as often as you can. Alright. I think just homing bolt this. I think these two will be gone relatively soon. Oh, see, that unit is blocking. That's a little bit annoying. So that unit's blocking, but if I use homing bolt, I can hit any unit I want to. So I'm going to do that instead. Maybe if I wait it out, maybe this unit will do something. Yeah, so yeah, if that unit attacks somebody, it's no longer blocking. Or what happened? Oh, it actually died. I think the poison finally killed the first one. The second one is really low, and nobody's blocking right now, so this is a good time to lunge at the third one. Or, well, now it's the second one, but it was the third one. Now that one's blocking again, so that's a little bit annoying. So how do I want to do this? I don't really have any, I guess it doesn't really matter. Let's just do Contagion. Didn't really have good target selection. Wasn't really, and it's going to die from the poison regardless. So there wasn't a whole lot of options there. That's okay. So I got the spirit points, and you'll see that I also picked up this item, slime rats. This is an item that they drop. It's a little bit double-edged. It heals you immediately for 30% of maximum health, but you get poisoned for half that much. So it's a net positive, and it's the healing part. The good part is front-loaded, so it's basically all good. But you do have to watch out for that. If you rely on this too much, well, it's really only 15%. It just feels like more than that in the immediate term. But I'll do that next turn. There's again the threat's not immediate. When I start hitting the actual boss, it's going to become a little bit more important to micromanage. So what I don't want to happen is I don't want this second one to block. I think my damage dealer, I want to before that other one blocks, like the one on the left we're blocking and not the one on the right, then I would have to hit the one on the left. So just to avoid that, that's why I acted really quickly there. And now, let's see what happened. I guess yeah, another one of the rat slimes, or another one of the slime rats went down. So we got a lot of points here. So so with this brother cantrip, who's also Penelope's ability, Flaming Fist, if I start putting points into melee, then I can really do some pretty good damage. It costs 2 mana points though. It's maybe a little bit too expensive for the mid game. Late game, it would be a little bit less prohibitive, but it's still pretty nice. I don't want to spend too much. I still want to maybe do a little bit of range for those turns when I use Homing Bolt, but magic is kind of the most important, and maybe that's a little bit overkill, but it's fine. So let's do the Homing Bolt. Zombie Mozart it's kind of okay if his poison stack's super duper high. His contagion scales with that. He's a kind of weird character. Like he has this very low damage scaling based on his poison amount, but his poison amount tends to get really, really high. So he's kind of a tank, but the damage tends to ramp up with this really weird scaling, and you don't want to neglect him for too long. He's going to have to start throwing heals at him pretty soon. The Ratslime oil will sort of help it, but it will also really exaggerate the problems that he already has at the same time. It's kind of interesting. So, but where are we at here? Okay, let's take that potion, and then so remember lunge. Because I used a potion, I don't have my minor action point at it, so I don't want to lunge because I want to be able to lunge next turn. So instead, I can just do a range attack. Which one do I want to hit? I don't want the Empress to. I still don't want her to do her big attack yet. I just want to keep hitting the front row thing. So it's just going to die on its own. So I think I'm just going to rest a couple times. And now what? Yeah, looking pretty decent. Okay, so Zombie Mozart's gonna heal. We're just gonna wait. As soon as that slime rat has a turn, it's just gonna die from the poison. So let's just sit around and rest for a bit. All right. That looks pretty good. So I don't want the Empress to do the big spell next turn, and maybe I want her to summon another rat because she has all of her mana right now. So so how do I want to do this? So I could only half of it converts to poison. So if I do like 30 something, then it'll still be under 100. Yeah. Okay, so let's just another one of the rats died. I've got all these points to spend. I've got 20 spirit points. Pretty cool. I'm not sure what I want to do with that. Mozart, I could increase his health because then the potions will heal for more. So that's fine. I feel like that health total is a little bit low. Do a little bit there, do a little bit more damage, and a little bit more. Notice that when I increase the maximum mana, you immediately get the 1 mana added to your current amount. So it's designed so that you get immediate reward for it. So I went ahead and did that. So I think I'm just going to wait this turn out. Let's see, did we get a summon? Okay, we got the summons. She could have used Fester because that skill is always available, but she summoned instead. So we want to, so let's just, we want to take that unit out. You get the idea. So I'm going to try to go through these turns a bit faster now. So this turn, the Empress has to use Fester because the poison total, it's not at that threshold yet. Move to the back row. Basic range attack. Homing bolt. Poor Mozart taking all the hits. So what am I doing? I think I'm just resting a bunch and yeah. All right, so I'm gonna do something else this time. So let's see. Yeah, so next turn I'm gonna get a chance to block in. My next turn is a good turn for Blight Missile to happen because Mozart will get a chance to block, and he'll be fine. I still have a minor action. I'll just rest. So let's look at the unit description. Check out the actions in this row of buttons, these yellow buttons beneath the battlefield layout. So she just got up to 5 mana again, so she might spawn a Ratslime, but she might use Blight Missile. But if she does use Blight Missile, Zombie Mozart is going to be blocking this turn. So what happens, yeah, she used the Blight Missile. As you see, the poison just shot through the roof, but Zombie Mozart is special. The damage was converted to poison, so he'll be hurting later, but he took that shot very easily for now. So it's kind of the idea. So I'm gonna depend on the consumables, and I'm just going to use all my mana on another Flaming Fist just to keep the fight going kind of fast. There might be another Blight Missile next turn at this rate. It's a possibility, but the good news is that we got this frontliner who can just block it if it happens. So yeah, you can't really afford to stall forever, so you do want to get that damage out even if it provokes those big mega attacks. And when did I move this unit to the front? Oh yeah, because Flaming Fist, that's right. Alright. So mana's getting pretty expensive, but fortunately the health to mana conversion has just reached the next threshold, so I put 1 point into there. Yeah, Mozart is that poison level is pretty high, but whatever. Alright, I guess we have to block here. Let's see, it's still our turn. So what happens is the turn order is these two, this green and yellow bar graph on the far left. I'll briefly explain it. There's a summary if you hover over the words turn summary. It's kind of a little complicated, but the initiative stat for each unit kind of counts toward your team total. And that's how fast these turn point gauges fill up. But as you take actions, it removes initiative from your team total, starting with the highest amounts, and you get 3 copies of each unit, representing the 2 for the major action and 1 for the minor action. So Lynneth initially contributes 3 times. Any unit takes a major action, you lose 2 copies, and then eventually you run out of initiative points, and then so as you take actions, your gauge fills more slowly, so the enemies have chances to take turns. The idea with that is if you have 1 fast unit, then at the beginning of the round you have a really good, the gauge fills up quickly and you get a turn pretty quickly, but you don't get unlimited. It's not like you get 8 turns in a row. It's sort of cumulative, but if you want a lot of turns in a row, you have to have a lot of units with high initiative. So that's a little subtle, but it's pretty nice. Alright, so where were we? What was I going to do? I think right now I'm micromanaging it, so it's only Mozart's the only one who could possibly take a hit, so I'm just gonna, instead of healing, I'm just gonna go ahead and use lunge here. And this time the Empress decided to summon instead of casting Blight Missile. So that's kind of nice, I guess. So I could wait to get more mana, and so I could do another Flaming Fist, but I would have to get some more spirit points by killing this slime rat. I'm going to do it differently this time. I'm just going to cast Heal. It's getting, this poison is sort of stacked kind of high, so I don't feel super secure with that right now, so I'm just going to keep going. So now I think I want to pivot to just attacking the back row. I don't think I want to. I think I just want to try to finish this fight, so I'm going to use my big range attack against the back row. I just want to keep the tempo. So let's jump to the back row. The slime rat only has a melee attack, which the back row is completely safe as long as there's from all melee attacks. No one has to. You have to block range attacks, but melee attacks always prefer the front row. So right now the back row is safe. Just do another guard. Homing bolt, hit the back row. And the slime rat hit zombie Mozart again. He's taking all these hits, but yeah, it is what it is. So just guard again. Range attack, another homing bolt. Let's see. It's kind of low. I think damage reflection is mostly where the health loss has been coming from lately. Who's gonna need that? Who's gonna need the Ratslime oil more? I think I'll have her just rest and stay in the back row maybe, and he can just rest this turn. Okay, so I think the initiative, okay, so the other side had more initiative because now they have like 2 units, so I think they got the first turn. So Blight Missile actually hit my back line, which is kind of scary, so let's heal that. I think I can finish off the back line with just one more hit here. It's like 30 something, and half that's converted to poison, which is still good enough. So there we go. Let's go ahead and finish it off. So Contagion will be plenty good enough. So both of these units are a little bit unhealthy right at the moment. Still fine. Oh, I haven't used this yet. This, I don't really like to use that unless it's super urgent, which it's not yet. Like, if I know that he would die, then Brains, what it does, it heals you for how much poison you have, which is kind of insane, but then your poison increases by 50%, so... right now that'd be a little bit overkill. If I had fart low enough to die, then that would sort of extend my lifespan a bit, but... I'm just going to use Contagion. And there we go. Don't really want the damage reflection though. Maybe I'll just do a range attack and heal a little bit. Yeah, sounds pretty bad. Let's eat those brains. So he healed like a bunch, but then he had so much poison that every time you take an action, the poison ticks. So it does two things back to back, and now that's what happens to zombie Mozart. Eventually he gets into a state like this where he's taking a lot of hits, but now it's getting kind of precarious. Well, it looks like that was enough. How much damage was that? Yeah. Pretty good chunk of damage on top of it having a lot of poison, so closed it down. So that's... yeah, so that was a little bit challenging. It would have been a little bit... I think if Zombie Mozart were also Baron von Century, then those two together, if you have a very large amount of damage reduction, then this fight gets a lot easier. The rats can barely touch you if you're like a 12 damage reduction or something like that. So there are ways to make this fight even easier, but this setup was strong enough, and I got to showcase some abilities you haven't seen before, so hope that was neat.